The ROV descends through water so cold it moves like syrup. At 300 meters, the beam finds steel. A hull sits locked in permanent ice, its plates dark against the pale shelf above. This is a weapons transport that sailed from Seattle in February 1943, carrying ammunition and artillery for the Aleutian campaign. It never arrived. The ship rests upright, bow pointing northwest toward the route it was meant to follow. Ice has claimed the upper decks, forming a crystalline shell that seals everything beneath. In warmer waters, a wreck this old would be skeletal, reduced to frame and rust. Here, the Arctic has reversed the rules. Metal remains intact. Wood shows no rot. The cold preserves what the ocean would erase. The camera moves through the forward hatch into Cargo Bay 1. Light reflects off frost-covered crates stacked 3 meters high. Each box bears stenciled markings: U.S. Army Ordnance Corps, Springfield Armory. The wood shows no decay. No marine growth has touched these surfaces. They look as though they were loaded last week. The ROV's manipulator arm brushes ice from one crate. The lid lifts easily. Inside, 10 M1 Garand rifles lie in their original packing grease. The cosmoline coating remains golden and thick, exactly as it was applied at the factory. These rifles were built for infantry companies fighting across Attu and Kiska, where Japanese forces held frozen positions against American assault. The Springfield Armory was producing 4,000 rifles daily in 1943. These 10 never left their crate. Deeper in the hold, ammunition boxes form geometric walls. Each box contains 1,000 rounds. The manifest, if it survived, would list tens of thousands of cartridges packed in this bay alone. Artillery shells occupy the starboard side, stacked nose up in their transport cradles. These are 75mm rounds for pack howitzers, designed to be disassembled and carried across mountain terrain. They still wear their protective caps. A smaller crate sits apart from the others. The ROV's light catches different markings. Signal Corp. Inside, flare pistols and colored smoke grenades rest in fitted foam. These were tools for communication in conditions where radio failed, where smoke and light became the only language that crossed frozen valleys. The brass fittings show no tarnish. Between the crates, gaps reveal the hull itself. Rivets stand in clean lines. Welds remain solid. At this temperature, corrosion slows to a pace measured in centuries rather than years. The ship is not decaying. It is waiting. The passageway narrows as the ROV moves aft. Crew quarters open to the left. Bunks line both walls, stacked too high. Wool blankets lie folded at the foot of each bunk, Navy issue gray. A thin layer of ice coats the fabric, but the material beneath remains whole. No moths have touched these fibers. No bacteria have broken down the wool. A sailor's jacket hangs from a hook near the forward bunk. The collar bears an aviation machinist's mate insignia, a rating assigned to men who maintained aircraft engines. This ship carried no planes, which means this sailor was in transit, likely headed to a naval air station in Alaska, where patrol bombers flew reconnaissance over Japanese-held islands. The jacket's leather is stiff with cold but uncracked. On a narrow shelf, personal items rest in a row. A razor in its tin case, a bar of soap still wrapped in paper, a small notebook with a pencil tucked in the binding. The notebook's cover shows water damage from the initial flooding, but the pages inside remain frozen and legible. Someone could, with care, read what this man wrote in the days before the ship went down. A photograph sits propped against the bulkhead, sealed behind glass. The image shows 3 people, a young man in navy dress blues, a woman in a dark coat, and a child holding the woman's hand. The photo was likely taken in 1942 or early 1943, before deployment. The glass has protected the image perfectly. Their faces are as clear as the day the picture was framed. Other bunks hold similar fragments: a harmonica, a deck of cards with the joker missing, a pair of work boots laced tight and set beneath a bunk. These men expected to reach their destination. They packed for arrival, not disaster. The bridge sits one deck above the crew quarters. The ROV rises through an internal hatchway and emerges into the command center. Windows line the forward wall, their glass intact but coated in opaque ice. No light from outside penetrates this room. The ship's wheel stands at center, locked in position. It is turned 30 degrees to starboard. This was not a neutral heading. Someone had given a hard turn, likely trying to avoid something or correct for drift in heavy ice. The brass fittings on the wheel remain bright under their frost layer. Navigation charts cover the table behind the wheel. The ROV's light reveals pencil marks tracing a course from Seattle, north along the coast, then west through the Aleutian chain. The route passes through waters known for pack ice, especially in late winter. Annotations in the margins note compass bearings and distances between waypoints. The final mark stops mid-ocean, where the pencil line ends without reaching its destination. A logbook lies open near the charts. The last entry is dated February 18, 1943. The handwriting is precise, standard Navy notation. Weather conditions: overcast, wind from the northwest, sea state, moderate. No mention of ice, no indication of distress. Whatever happened came after this entry, either too sudden to record or too overwhelming to allow time for writing. The telegraph control stands near the helm, set to full ahead. The ship was under power when it went down. The engines were running. This was not a slow death. Binoculars hang from a hook beside the forward window. Their lenses are still covered by protective caps. They were stored properly, waiting to be used, never retrieved in whatever emergency overtook the bridge. The ROV descends through the central shaft into the engine room. This space is larger than the cargo holds, a cathedral of machinery stretching fore and aft. Twin diesel engines dominate the center, each one built to drive the ship at 12 knots through open ocean. They are silent now, locked in place by ice that has formed around every component. The pistons are frozen mid-stroke. One engine's crankshaft stopped at top dead center, the other near bottom. This suggests they were running when the flooding began, diesel fuel still flowing, compression still cycling. At some point, water reached the intake manifolds and the engines choked. The cold stopped everything immediately after. Gauges line the bulkhead above the engines. Fuel pressure, oil pressure, coolant temperature, RPM. Some needles rest at 0. Others remain in the operating range, showing readings from the moment power was lost. The RPM gauge on the starboard engine reads 800 revolutions per minute, a cruising speed for steady travel. Tools lie scattered across the deck plates. A wrench rests near the port engine's fuel pump. An oil can sits overturned beside a toolbox. A rag hangs from a valve handle. These were not stowed. They were in use. The engine crew was working when disaster came. Electrical panels occupy the aft wall. Switches remain in the on position. The ship's lighting system, ventilation, pumps, all were active. In the corner, a telephone handset hangs loose from its cradle. The cord stretched as though someone grabbed it and never had time to replace it. That telephone connected the engine room to the bridge. Its last message went unfinished. Beneath the deck plates, bilge pumps sit frozen in their housings. These pumps were designed to evacuate water faster than any normal leak could flood a compartment. They failed not from mechanical breakdown, but from overwhelming volume, When ice punctures a hull, the inrush comes too fast for any pump to manage. The aft hold contains the heaviest cargo. The ROV enters through a reinforced hatch marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Inside, artillery shells stand in racks from floor to ceiling. These are not small caliber rounds. These are 105mm howitzer shells, each one weighing 40 pounds, designed to shatter fortified positions and collapse bunkers. The shells are stacked with mathematical precision, nose up, separated by wooden dividers. There are hundreds of them. The 105mm howitzer was the primary artillery piece for U.S. Army divisions in the Pacific, used in every major amphibious assault from 1942 onward. Each shell contains explosive filler and a timed fuse. They remain stable at this temperature, their chemistry suspended. Beside the howitzer ammunition, smaller crates contain mortar rounds. These are 81mm shells, infantry support weapons designed for rapid fire against enemy trench lines. The crates are sealed with metal bands. Labels indicate their origin: Picatinny Arsenal, New Jersey. They were manufactured, shipped across the continent, loaded onto this vessel, and sent north to a war that continued without them. Anti-tank weapons occupy the port side. Bazooka rockets rest in their tubes, warheads still fitted with protective covers. These were new technology in 1943, distributed to Army units facing Japanese armor in the Pacific Islands. Each rocket weighs 3 pounds and could penetrate 120mm of armor plate at close range. They never reached the soldiers who needed them. A separate locker contains grenades. Fragmentation type, defensive use, packed in sawdust for transport. The pins are still in place. The spoons are secure. There are perhaps 1,000 grenades in this locker alone, enough to supply an entire battalion. The manifest for this ship, if Navy records still hold it, would list the total weight of munitions aboard. That number would run into hundreds of tons. Every shell, every bullet, every grenade represents industrial output, raw materials, labor, transportation, all of it committed to moving firepower from factory to front line. This ship was not carrying supplies. It was carrying the capacity to wage war. And it rests here, intact and inert, beneath ice that will not thaw. The Arctic does not care about strategy or sacrifice. It does not recognize the markings on ammunition crates or the insignia on a sailor's jacket. It simply holds what falls into its grip, preserving everything with impartial cold. This ship represents a failure in the machinery of supply. In early 1943, the Aleutian Islands were the only American soil under foreign occupation. Japanese forces held Attu and Kiska, and the U.S. military was assembling an overwhelming response. That response required ammunition, artillery, and weapons delivered on schedule. Ships like this one formed the backbone of that supply chain. When one vanished, the loss was not symbolic. It was tactical. The units awaiting this cargo would have requisitioned replacements. Other ships would have been dispatched. The war continued. But for the men aboard this vessel, continuation was not an option. Their mission ended in darkness and cold, and their ship became a monument to the brittleness of logistics under extreme conditions. What remains is not a grave, it is an archive. Every crate, every tool, every frozen scrap of fabric holds information that paper records cannot provide. The condition of the weapons reveals how they were packed. The arrangement of cargo shows loading priorities. The personal items in the crew quarters tell small truths about who these men were and what they carried into uncertainty. The ice will hold this ship for as long as the Arctic remains frozen. That may be decades, it may be centuries. Eventually, climate will shift. Temperatures will rise, and the permafrost that seals this hull will melt. When that happens, the ocean will reclaim what the cold preserved, and the ship will begin its slow collapse into the sediment below. Until then, it rests, silent, intact, and utterly still. A weapons cache that never reached the war. A crew that never came home. A mission frozen incomplete.